Okay, well, let's start off. The crucial C's, they are connection, capability, counting, and courage. Now, raising happy, confident kids is difficult. I mean, we live in a busy, hectic, frenetic world, which makes raising children quite a challenge, really. And we've all got the added pressures of technology and work-life balance and all the parenting advice bombarding us, from parent bloggers to supposedly parent gurus. We've got blended families, we've got single families, and we've got exhausted families. So in this busy space, I want to talk and teach you about having an understanding of how these four crucial C's can simplify your life and help you with your discipline, perhaps, or your understanding of your children. Now, this parenting approach isn't about telling you what to do or laying down any laws or anything, but it's just offering you some alternative ways of thinking about perhaps your rules and helping you see beneath, as a detective, to perhaps beneath your child's behaviour. So let me tell you a little bit about the crucial C's. Many years ago, research was carried out to discover why some children were successful in the broader sense and others weren't. And the findings were very clear regarding those differences. Children who succeed have very close relationships with others, particularly their immediate family. They feel valued in their communities, and they have a sense of control over some aspects of their lives. And while children who are, in trouble, they tend to feel isolated, useless to society, and powerless. So the children in trouble are missing four important necessities to manage life's challenges. They're missing feeling connected to others, whether that's their family or their community. They're missing feeling capable, and that means to take care of themselves. And they're missing feeling valuable, that they count and that they matter and that they make a difference. And they're missing courage. Now, these four fundamentals are needed for children to feel that they can meet and manage the challenges of life generally. So what do these crucial C's give children? Well, the feeling that we connect and that we're capable and that we count and that we have courage will go a long way to enhance a positive attitude about life, giving it meaning and giving it purpose. By embracing these very simple principles, you will be transforming, honestly, your parenting, and you'll become better at understanding the goals behind your child's behaviour, and you'll understand their needs. Because these very simple principles will empower you with better ways to raise happy, confident, resilient children with strong self-esteem and good mental health. If we ensure that our children feel connected and capable and courageous, and they will just, they'll develop the can-do kid mindset that I go on about a great deal, because they'll have the ability to handle whatever life throws at them, because I think they'll have a positive mental attitude and good mental health. Now, kids who are brought up with these crucial C's have these strong sense of who they are. They will feel responsible, productive, cooperative, self-reliant, resilient, resourceful, contributing, and happy. So let's talk about how we can help our children feel connected. We're all social beings and we all band together, and it's our ability to survive both physically and psychologically depends actually on our ability to connect with each other. And we move from being helpless babies, totally dependent on others, to our ability to have interdependence with others. So this process of moving from total dependence takes a considerable time. Our children develop these capabilities quite slowly, going from total dependence into becoming interdependent and then hopefully independent. Now, as children grow into toddlers, they experiment, they make mistakes, and they learn through trial and error. And the more capable that they're allowed to feel, the more self-confident they become. A teenager who is confident and secure in their belief about belonging to others in their family feels connected, so they cooperate more because they don't feel afraid that they'll be rejected or isolated. And the more resilient they are to peer pressure and being drawn into gangs or the wrong crowd to get that sense of connection. Now, a child who connects in a constructive, healthy way will feel secure, and they can reach out to others and they can make friends easily and they can cooperate. And a child who doesn't feel connected in a constructive way, again, as I said, feels insecure and isolated. And that's when they start to seek attention, and they believe that any attention is better than no attention at all. And that's when they can become susceptible to peer pressure. So they really do need this connection. And it's based on lots of research. In fact, studying 12,000 teenagers by the Journal of the American Medical Association, they found that young people who feel connected were less likely to take drugs, to smoke, to drink alcohol, become violent or get pregnant. So in short, they had better mental health. So I want us to pause to ponder a little bit here, and you can get a piece of paper or you can just think about it, but usually when I'm working with my clients, I encourage them to have a piece of paper and a pen handy, because we're going to pause to ponder here how you can connect with each of your children this week a little more consciously. So have a little ponder. Could you eat a meal as a family together, at least maybe once a week, or on a certain day of the week, or possibly if you've got more time, perhaps every night? Could you read a bedtime story? Obviously, if they're young, not if they're 17, but could you read a bedtime story and connect more that way? Could you play in the garden? I know the weather's not very good at the moment. This one's usually for better weather. But could you play a board game, perhaps? That would be another way to connect with them. Or could you actually go on YouTube, perhaps with your older teenagers, to listen to their favourite music and get to understand why that band is their favourite band? Simple thing, I remember doing this with my dad, building a den in the sitting room. Or could you actually go out for a bike ride? This links in nicely actually to what I call my ing activities, my family fun on a Friday on Twitter, which is where you do things together that are verbs like cooking, baking, climbing, dancing, singing. I don't know, could even be listening. But an ing activity can connect you. So let's pause to ponder there for a minute, and let's see if you can think of some ideas for your particular circumstances in your particular family about connecting. And if you'd like to pop them into the chat, if you want to share them, feel free, but don't feel you have to. So while you're pondering that, I want to talk to you about the connection for teenagers, because I think it's really important, because they're all struggling for independence. They're just taller toddlers, really. And that's the same thing for babies. They're trying to be independent. But this is when actually teenagers grunt and become in the Kevin stage. Sorry about that, Kevin. That sort of Kevin and Perry stage. And they want to go up into their bedrooms more. But actually, this is when parents start to withdraw from them as well. In fact, they need more connection, because I remember with my family, when my son was in his teenage years and my daughter, we shared a common interest in going to see Chelsea play. They're playing tonight, actually. And we used to go as a family and have our little rituals of a hot dog and get the programme and go and watch the game. And we could always then talk about the game on the way home, and we could complain about the referee or some of the players. And that connected us as we went through, because they are striving for individuality. They want to do different things to us. But I felt that was a thread that kept us connected, because I really do think if you can stay more connected with your kids, because they've got an awful lot of pressure on them at the moment, I think, with exams, with drug pressure, with bullying pressure, with Snapchat and Facebook. Everyone seems to be having a marvellous life. So there's a lot of pressure on young teenagers at the moment, and they always want to fit in. And so I feel they want to connect, but you've got to make sure that their connection is grounded with you first. I really believe that, because the dangers of not connecting are that the kids feel insecure, so they look to gangs or to the wrong people to connect with. They feel isolated, So they hide away in their bedroom playing, I don't know, all those games and get addicted to gaming. They feel susceptible to peer pressure. They find it harder to say no to other people. And sometimes they seek attention. As we know, we've all seen the piercings and the purple hair and the tattoos that some kids go through. So some kids in their teenage years feel connect. My daughter's just had a tattoo, by the way, but she is 23 now, and I really had no control over it, honestly. But, you know, otherwise, teenagers, they'll start connecting in a negative way because, let's face it, they'll say that any attention is better than no attention at all. So don't give up in trying to find ways to reach out, to connect with your kids. And usually it's when you're, you know, with my son, we used to drive him up to football and it became our time together. I used to resent driving up in the traffic hour when it was rush hour, but in the end it became Will and my time to chat. And sometimes we talk deep and meaningful. Sometimes we would just listen to the radio. Sometimes we talk about football. Other times I found that I was passing on my values about life and experience and passing on hopefully some of my wisdom to him. And that became an unconscious thing, but that was a really great way to connect with him. And he did the same thing on the way home with his dad. So that's important for kids to feel that they connect in the teenage years. And they won't cooperate.
We've got sorry, Sue, we've got a couple of comments there that you might like to go through.
Okay, where do I find
in
those?
The chat? If you
do I have to come out of sharing the screen, or
if you hover over your screen, you should have the chat button at the bottom, like everyone else did. You just have a look at that, or you might have to exit your PowerPoint presentation to do that.
Okay, it doesn't say that. No, so I'll come with that. How do I come out of here though? I'm going to have to go all the way through it quickly. So that now, so then I go back to, where do I go back to, Kevin? There?
Yep.
And then
if you look at the top of your screen, if you hover your mouse right at the top of your screen.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then click on chat. Have you got a chat button there?
No, not on the top.
Or on the bottom now, it might be.
Stop share. How about?
Yeah, go on then. Stop sharing, and then definitely be able to see that.
And then go to chat. Ah, okay. So now I can see. Ah, okay. Here we go. So we find board games and even dominoes, which is the current favourite at the moment, works really well. And I feel especially connected time with my 5-year-old is when we read a chapter of her book every night, snuggled in her bed. Oh, that was lovely. Did that earlier. Current book is The Fairy Tree. No, The Faraway Tree. Oh, I remember that. And we love this time with our daughter. I read yesterday of a school in Scotland who have been working with parents who come to collect their children. They have worked in partnership so that parents no longer access their mobile phones at collection time or at the school. Oh, that's fascinating, isn't it? I knew of a school that actually had a great big banner on the school gate that says, you know, no mobiles welcome here. Because there's so many times that you see children, when I used to teach, children running out, you know, haven't seen their mum and dad all day and they're running out to them and mum and dad are on the phone. And it's not a lovely way to feel greeted, is it? So that's very interesting. And then Mel says, love driving time with mine when poodle off to drive and talk even now. Yes, I love that. Molly and I still even do that where we go. She says, oh, can we go for a drive? So we go for a drive and we listen to music and we have a chat and we connect that way. So thank you. That's great. There's some lovely ideas there. So shall I go back, Kevin, to what I was doing?
Yes, if you want to move on to capable, and I'll do the quick poll before we go on to there. Okay, so let me just.
Am I sharing now or not?
It's on its way.
Shared or not yet?
Not yet. Have you clicked on share screen and then?
No.
Okay,
no, so hang on, I'm a bit lost on my technology. So hang on, I have to go back to here. Right, I'm in here now, and then where do I go? Share screen.
PowerPoint?
Yes, the technology. Okay, so there we go. So is that okay for everybody?
It's just coming on ours. Yep, okay, we're there now. So just before you talk about capable, let's have this poll. So if I launch that poll, you should be able to see that. And if you'd like to click on one of those and press submit, What about capable? That's the second of the,
Yes.
of the 4 C's. How capable do you think your children or your child is? Very capable, they're brilliant, they need a bit of help with it, or do you think it's an area that they really need a lot of help with? So if you just click on one of those, it's a completely anonymous poll, and then I'll show you what everybody has clicked. Okay, there we go. And I'll just share those results with everyone. So there we are. Some very capable, and some perhaps need a little bit of help. So there you are, Sue.
Interesting, thank you. So that's it. So shall we chat about feeling capable? Because this is quite an important one too. I think children are growing up with helicopter parents these days, and parents rush in to rescue, sometimes too soon, I think. And I think children need to develop their sense of competence and capability through being allowed to explore and experiment and make mistakes. I call it failing forward, because they need to be given the opportunity, I think, to do real jobs and real activities that are meaningful for them as well. I know that we're in a very busy, hectic world and we're rushing about, but I think if we rob our children of the opportunity to struggle a little bit when they're little, you know, struggle to pull on their welly boots or do up their zips, putting on their shoes or whatever it might be. I know it's often easier and quicker to do it for them, but I think that's a mistaken way of helping children, because I think it can have serious consequences longer term. It gives the impression, and children feel this, that actually you've got no confidence in them. You've given them a vote of no confidence if you rush and say, oh no, you don't want to do it like that. You want to do it like this. And I think then what happens is that you develop a child who then doesn't try, or actually can be very bossy and become princess, pampered princess like Veruca Salt, or pampered prince. I can't think of an example of that. So I want you to ponder the idea of not robbing your children of the opportunity to feel capable and competent, because it develops their self-esteem and their self-belief in themselves. So with primary children, I mean, it's simple things like getting them to lay the table or helping you put out the breakfast things in the morning. Perhaps it's doing their homework, but you let them try a little longer before you rush in and answer all the questions. I think really, as I said earlier, children interpret that rushing in sometimes as no trust in their ability. And that's why toddlers struggle to do up their seatbelts and things and get cross with you if you do it too soon, because they're struggling. They want to try and do things for themselves. So let's have a look at teenagers, because teenagers, if they're allowed to feel capable and competent, they feel trusted and they feel sort of self-reliant and they feel independent. So you empower them, whereas actually disencouraged teenagers obviously take unnecessary risks to try and prove things to themselves. The negatives of not feeling capable, the studies have shown that kids feel inadequate. They therefore then try and control others, and sometimes they become defiant. Sometimes they may even become too dependent, as I said earlier, and they don't even try. But a capable kid or a can-do kid feels competent. They have good self-control as well. They feel self-reliant, and they assume responsibility. So that's why I wrote the Can-Do Kid Journal, to empower children with that can-do attitude. So I want you to pause to ponder perhaps now, how can you help your child feel more capable and competent this week? What can you do in your home this week to help kids in your house feel more capable? Right, shall I move on to the next one, which is counting?
Yep, there is a comment from Mel, or a question from Mel.
Yes.
And she's also put in cook for themselves as a brilliant way of making, giving them an opportunity to be capable.
Yes.
But she also says there are 2 of us. How would we do that? So Mel, do you mean that there are two parents or two children? What did you mean by that? Dave. Oh, right, that's Dave's idea.
Ah, okay. But it's a good idea to empower them. You have to show, I always talk about talking and teaching our kids, and they, you know, allow them to make some mistakes and have responsibility. Because as you say, you know, cooking and doing things for themselves makes them feel part of the family, which makes them feel connected as well to the team. I often talk about the we team, W-E, meaning the Atkins family team. We're in this together. So let's work together and let's, you know, help kids do things for themselves because it's part of the team.
Absolutely. So Mel's put in, yes, it's becoming a bit clearer now what she means. I have all adult kids, but Dave has 2 younger from a previous relationship. So it's a bit more of a complicated situation that she's got.
Yes, but it's age appropriate. So pause to ponder. Each child is different. Each child is unique. So it's not just one size fits all. Sometimes you can come together and do things, but this is about a mindset to help a child feel that they are competent, that they are capable, and that they can do things. And this is also, I'm writing an e-course at the moment about grit, because I'm very interested in why some children give up too soon, or why some adults succeed to such levels, or why they have such tenacity. So that would be looking at the different ages and stage and looking at each child. And this week, everyone just notice, imagine you've got a camcorder on your shoulder and it's observing you. And it's observing your family, a bit like Big Brother, because you'll start to notice where your child may be not feeling or not being allowed to be capable, and you're robbing them of that opportunity or that experience. And perhaps you can think again about how you can help them struggle on a little bit with something that's a bit harder than they're used to. And then they'll feel an enormous sense of accomplishment. And then you celebrate each child's individual small step forward, I think, really, if that helps, Mel. I mean, with all of these things, it's about pausing to ponder for your and as you start thinking about these new ways of doing things, perhaps it will become clearer over time how you can help children count, feel connected, and feel capable, really. So let's look at counting. That means feeling significant, feeling important. Often when I listen to people sometimes, I suddenly realise that all they need to do is offload stuff onto me because they don't feel very significant. They don't feel very important. They don't feel sometimes valued. And that's when people slip into, particularly adults, into the martyr business, and they ramble on about how they've had to battle this and battle that this week. And sometimes I just sit back and listen. So obviously babies are egocentric. Their basic needs need to be met. It's a bit one-sided when they're babies because they cry and you need to react very quickly to their needs. But then they will learn that the world is a safe place and they can trust their needs will be met. And they count, and therefore they are bonding with you. Toddlers and kids, I mean, they can help in the house. You can celebrate their talents, you can help them feel that they're significant by listening to them, by playing with them, by reading to them. All these small steps are building up that feeling of significance, that they matter. Often with phones and busy, hectic lives, we're doing multitasking. One simple thing actually is to stop what you're doing and just look at the person that's speaking to you in the eye properly. And that is a gift that you give them. And you can do that not only with your children, you can do that with anybody when you're out and about in the supermarket. So I was doing it the other day where I actually stopped what I was doing, looked up and thanked the person and gave that extra 2 seconds look of thanks. And they sort of bloomed and blossomed and smiled because they felt important, they felt noticed, and they felt significant. They count. So it's also important for teens to feel that they count, because then they will become active in school or in their communities. Perhaps they might even do the Duke of Edinburgh, or, if they're a younger teen, they might do scouts and things. But children in studies that feel that they're important and that they're significant and they matter are less likely to break the law, and they feel responsible and significant, and what they do they understand matters. And of course, the negative outcomes of not feeling significant or important means that young people become sexually active too early. Boys get into a bit of vandalism and other disruptive behaviour. And kids are actually hurt if they feel insignificant. So sometimes they try and hurt you back because they feel upset and hurt. And sometimes they may even sort of seek revenge behaviour. So pausing to ponder now, how can you help your child this week feel more significant? Anybody written anything up there, Kevin? Saves me coming out and going in to the chat.
Yeah, Mel has just put in a comment explaining a bit more about her situation. She says that she thinks it's really important, and she also says that she's very much in the enabling mode, and Mel's children had lived on exchanges for 6 months by 10, so that's why she's very much in the enabling mode, and she says that it's very important to be part of the decision making. That Dave says it's very important to be part of the decision making, perhaps in the family. And I'm terrible at pronouncing Marissa's name. I'm sorry, Marissa. Marissa says, for me, it's about ring fencing the time with your child so that they have your active intention. And Dawn has pointed out that her kids are 2.5 and 4.5, so that's a handful, isn't it?
Yes, that's a handful, but that's actually empowering if you start to let them do things for themselves a little bit, because then it's a short-term hard work, but it's actually a long-term massive gain, isn't it? Because you get children who can do things for themselves. So let's have a look then at the next one, which is I have courage. Now, what do I mean by courage? Well, the lion from the Wizard of Oz was looking for courage, wasn't he? And no wonder, because being a human being is tough. I think it takes a lot of courage to ride life's ups and downs. It's packed with good and bad experiences, isn't it? Frustrations and disappointments and challenges. And it's a risky and precarious adventure. So I think developing courage in your children is important. This one attribute alone is very important, I think. I mean, toddlers show enormous courage in everything that they do. That learning to walk is not easy. They fall down more times than, they get back up again. Now, that's the difference. And that's the symbolism for me, to show courage in getting back up to have another go. They learn to climb. They learn to balance. They learn how to open doors and put on wellies. So they show courage to go from one mistake, really, to another until they master that skill. And that takes courage, and that's what I mean by being courageous. I mean, I want you to think back on your life, perhaps. It took courage to go to playgroup, to start school, to go to nursery, to go into secondary school, to leave home, to start a new job, to get married. All these big life changes, you need a degree of courage and faith in yourself and in other people. You have to sort of feel the fear and do it anyway, as Susan Jeffers said in her great book. So babies, infants and toddlers, they are fantastic for that courage that they show. So it's about really, I think it was Franklin Roosevelt said, courage isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to overcome it. So children without courage focus on what they can't do. They give up too easily and they avoid situations. So they miss out on lots of, wonderful life experiences through fear, really. So a child with a can-do kid attitude shows courage. And that's what I mean by courage, really. They feel hopeful and they feel optimistic and they're willing to try and to have a go. And from that, I think then kids with courage develop tenacity and resiliency because they're ready to embrace life in all its forms. Now, as a teenager, that's a very challenging time because it's a time of confusion and uncertainty because your teen is tottering between childhood and adulthood. And that's why they have a constant feeling of 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. But there's a struggle there going on for them. And there's a struggle for independence. They've got to have courage to resist peer pressure for kids to take drugs or start smoking or hanging out with the wrong crowd. You need to have all those sort of 4 things that we were talking about, really, to be able to have courage to walk your own path, really, because they all have this desire to fit in, but you have to have courage sometimes to stand out and be different. And hopefully, they can withstand all these pressures because they've been given values by you throughout their childhood, and so that they can have courage to say no if they need to. So let's have a look at courage for other people. Courage is, as I said, it's a time of confusion for teenagers, and we've talked about that. But I want you to pause to ponder perhaps the next thing is, how can you then encourage your child to have courage, be brave, to have a go at life? It can be to speaking up in class. It can be putting up their hand. It can be courage to learn to dance or salsa dance, or, courage to not get into a car when their friend has been drinking or something like that. So that's the sort of thing I'd like you to ponder this time, thinking about how you can encourage your child to feel braver and to have courage. Because kids who lack courage feel inferior, they feel defeated, they feel a bit hopeless, and they feel very discouraged. And sometimes they give up too easily, and they may even avoid situations. So a courageous child will feel more equal, more hopeful, more confident, more independent, and more resilient. So anybody said anything, Kevin, about the courage?
Yes, well, Dave was first in with try something new, and also I think then Mel, try something they're not good at and allow mistakes, says Mel.
Oh, I like that. That's right. Because it's only through trying things that you discover perhaps what you are good at. And there's always this dilemma between plateauing at something and giving up too soon, or sticking with it and pushing through, and discover that through practice, you really can become competent and capable, and maybe even really good at something, whatever it may be that you take up as a hobby or a choice that you find interesting. So it's very interesting that, for me, these are the underpinning key messages I think might be handy for you to ponder. When I think of the key messages around connecting, I want you to think about, these are the messages your children are looking for. I believe I have a place and I belong. Capable, I need to believe I can do it. Counting is, I need to believe I can make a difference. And courage is I need to believe I can handle what comes.
And we've got a couple more suggestions as well. Marissa says, give the children different opportunities to let them see what they like to be part of, for example, clubs. And one that was very interesting from Mel, I thought, was let them be nervous about something.
That's interesting, isn't it? It's that dilemma between, don't want to create too much anxiety, but obviously that sense of anticipation. Because when you've overcome something that you weren't sure of doing, it's a fantastic feeling, isn't it, afterwards, to know that you felt a bit nervous, but you overcame it and you came through it okay. And that will build your confidence muscle and your self-esteem muscle, because life is constantly testing us, isn't it, in new situations. And having a growth mindset and that ability to constantly want to be learning, I think, is fantastic, really. So as you can see here, these are the slides for you to pause to ponder how you can help your child to feel more connected this week, how you can help your child to feel more capable this week, how you can help your child to feel that they count. And of course, you could do these things just one at a time. For each one of them could be just for each week, while you pause to ponder how you can help for, this week only, or next week, or the week after. Just focus on one of these, how you can help your child to feel more courageous. So which of these crucial C's have you found the most helpful to know about this evening? And how will it change your parenting? I'd be very, very interested to hear that.
Yeah, and just before just letting people have a go at that, Marissa's come back in as well. My daughter, she says, who is 5, goes to drama and gymnastics. In both clubs, she did not know any other members. I think this is fab. So she's really got to have some courage there. Oh,
yes. And of course, the other thing to do is to encourage and to praise the effort. In this data-driven society of schooling, which I'm not a huge fan of, despite being a deputy head for 20 odd years or whatever it was, I'm a huge fan of praising the effort that goes into that. So rewarding the fact that she went to a club is so brave and so courageous. It's fantastic. And when children stick at something or they overcome something, telling them that is so valuable. So it's not just saying, oh, you got an A star, isn't that marvellous, well done. It's actually about, you know, you passed the ball really well at netball, whereas last week, you know, you weren't as confident. So it's noticing all the small things and making sure that they hear that. And sometimes a great way of doing that is to talk to grandma on the phone or something, or be overheard telling someone else how amazed you were by something that your kids did, because that is really wonderful. They love that. They really bloom and blossom when they hear that.
Yeah. Great.
So the link to my article on this, if you'd like to get it so that you've got it as I go into more detail about it, is there, so you can go and check it out from here.
Yes, I've put it in the text chat, Sue.
Lovely.
Everybody, you actually hover over that in the text chat. You can click that link and it'll take you to that page right now, and you can go back into the Zoom meeting, so you can keep that page for later and then come back into the Zoom meeting here. And there are a couple of other things, aren't there, that you're going to talk about?
Yes, just to pull it all together, really. I think to just think about connection, we need to develop our communication skills. So ponder your communication skills about that so you can help your kids feel connected. And to feel capable, we need to develop self-discipline in our kids as well. So that's the capability one. And to feel that we count, we need to teach our kids to accept responsibility, not he made me do it, or blame someone else. In this culture, I think it's important that we teach kids to accept responsibility. And to feel we have courage, we need to talk and teach our kids and help them develop good judgment, which I think is very important. But that comes with experience, with time, and with, you know, growing up, I suppose. So I hope you found some of these ideas helpful, or at least thought-provoking this evening. Do tell other people about them, and do come back and let me know. I do some Crucial C's talks and all sorts of webinars around different subjects, but certainly I've been doing some quick win videos in my membership site around this topic in a bit more detail. So here's the exclusive discount code for you for attending my webinar as a little thank you tonight. That's the link that I think Kevin has got. You click on that main member link. The code is PCTRYUS1. It's, don't ask me why, but it's try us one, I think. And this enables you to join my parenting club for only £1 for a whole month. And it enables you to have access to all my videos, all my e-courses, experts and extras interviews, and much, much more. So in the club, every week we launch 4 videos from babies, toddlers to teenagers. We do monthly webinars like this now every month. You'll be notified about those when they come out. We do podcasts that are free, weekly podcasts. And we also do the experts and extras when I'm interviewed on Sky News or when I'm on the BBC, which is most days at the moment. And you'll get all access to all sorts of articles and exclusive content. So please join that. And we'll join the community. And thank you very much for joining the webinar, and I hope you found it interesting.
Great, thank you, Sue. So there's a link in the text chat there to the main membership registration page, and also I've put in that slightly strange code, PCTRYUS1. So thank you very much indeed for coming tonight. I know that we've got some nice votes of thanks from Dawn. Thanks for this, really appreciate it. And from Dave as well, saying thank you. So thank you very much indeed, Sue. We will let people go now. I think it's slightly over the time we said, but we did.
Sorry, I do talk too much.
All right. So we will send you the link to the recording of this if you want to come back and watch any of it, and also keep you involved and let you know when the other webinars are coming up as well.
Take care. Have a good evening, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.